Hello and welcome. My name is Backpack Brain. Sorry, I thought I'd try Markiplier intro. It's been a long time. This is patch notes. Yesterday, 1 p.m. I did not realize that the patch notes came out. The patch notes came out. Deadlock came out. So for the next like 2 weeks and change, so like 15 days perhaps, I'm going to be in the Bahamas, not literally, but maybe conceptually speaking. And so all the videos, the Deadlock videos that are basically scheduled are like 2 weeks old. It'll say in the description what the stream that it was recorded in is from. So you can kind of understand that we're looking at old patches when you see that video. But anyway, it's still, somewhat decent content, but it's insanely outdated. And I played a game of Deadlock after this patch, but before reading it, and I was like, what is going on? Some stuff was genuinely huge changes from what I felt. So here we go. New matchmaking rework, all the latest patches, all the latest. I'll give you my opinion, first impressions, second impressions maybe because I've already played one. Here we go. Matchmaking rework. New versions of Matchfixer. Unfortunate slip. No longer split pool. Badges update immediately, but there will be maintenance updates to recalculate. Hero MMR is now used, which is an offset of your core MMR, essentially a differential based on your base level, which is, I think, a good way to do it, right? Because you're always going to be good, but a hero will make you a bit worse. Because, a hero doesn't make you worse at, like, timings, knowing when to farm, etc., but it'll make you worse at using it, for sure. Leaderboards also per region. We like to see it. We love to see it, right? You must have 50 games played in the last month for leaderboards, and for a specific hero leaderboard, 20 games in the last 30 days. We're not making it on the leaderboards for a little while. We would need to get better. I'm not good enough yet. But you know what? We take those. So any party size, but wide skill ranges, basically, they'll be careful. Previous limit is 3. If you think a match is a bad quality, we'll weight less heavily. We love to see that. If you prefer playing with only solos, there's a conva you can use. I honestly would prefer to play it with the group so that the group can do their own thing and I can do my own thing. All solos maybe is a bit worse, in my opinion, because I'm always solo queuing anyway, most of the time. Queuing as a party, you can override default balance orientated and prioritize putting your party member in the same lanes. This probably should be default rather than an option, to be honest. Swap lanes feature. I saw this and I was pretty interested. You can request to swap lanes early in the game. Immediately swap by clicking the button. I like to see that, so that you don't have to shuffle it by jumping around. Option to notify you with rank leveling up and show average badge of each team for postgame. This should also be enabled by default, in my opinion. Okay, general changes. Secondary keybinds. Browse favorite builds and dashboard. Thank you, we needed this. Sandbox mode, show souls all your current items. Thanks, that's nice to have. Tooltips now list which items, of imbued items. Items that are imbued have a label, I saw that. Commandage. Change hero button brings up hero picker. Yeah. Sorry. I'm a bit cooked, but you know what? We love to see it. Quick buy changes. Queue items to sell. I don't see how that would make sense, but sure. Power of rune design. Yes, I saw this. We'll talk about it later. Low prior games now require wins to count. This is basically like the toxic queue, right? Rejuve buff shows the stat buffs. I didn't even realize stat buffs really. Rejuve did too many stat buffs. I think I forgot about that. But that's interesting. And a bunch of notes, etc. This is all. This is like. These are the bug fixes, but these are like interesting. Everything no longer interrupts sliding, basically. But we love to see it. Okay, gameplay changes. Okay, souls sharing ratio is reduced again, basically. And hero kill souls decreased. It was a little bit juiced up. I think that's fair. Right? Walker Stomp now deals 10% max HP. It was kind of bullshit. The Walker Stomp didn't really deal that much damage. It made them feel completely useless. And Laser now deals max HP. And this basically just means that you can't ignore them at a certain point. Because if you had lifesteal, you could ignore it. But I guess now it makes it a little bit better. Provides nearby ally heroes bullet and spirit resistance. Thank you. There's a reason to hide behind and use cover and defend your tower rather than just like, you know, you stand behind the walker and the enemy just kills you anyway and you're left wondering what the hell's going on. Walkers have resistance based on how large of a team is attacking them. Middle walkers have more health. Makes sense because there's going to be more people attacking them on average. Patron laser also deals DPS. I don't think I've ever been hit by the patron laser. This thing does like nothing. So maybe that's good. Flex slot changed to 1 shrine and 2 base guardians. They should put this back to how it used to be. I don't see a reason why this should be changed. Final flex slot should be 4 shrines, but maybe, here's the thing, maybe it also is too late in the game. At the point where you get it, you're basically almost there anyway. Maybe that's what they're talking about here. Respawn time curve changed from 1730 to 2040. So like the games were a bit too short is what I'm seeing here, so they're making them a bit longer. Okay, some minor trooper resistant health changes, some minor split to the soul kill during laning phase rather. Medic trooper has more heal charges. That's pretty big. That means that like stalling stuff and like being passive is more valuable. Freezing lanes are more valuable if you're struggling, so that you can use your medic trooper to heal a lot because it will heal you pretty quick. All of min range reduced. Air drag when getting off zipper increased. So you can't fly off. Fair enough. It was a bit crazy at times. I respect it. Improve various issue with latency and heavy melee. Yes, that's nice. Killing first patron now causes any existing enemy hero respawns to be reduced by 10 seconds. But not lower than 10 seconds. Not low, reduced by 20, but not lower than 10. So you can't go from 20 to 0. You can go from 35 to 15. That's good. It basically means that it's actually as intended, because the way it was before, when you killed an enemy patron and you just did a team wipe and everyone's got like 50 seconds to come back, you kill the patron, you wait like the 20 seconds, and then nobody's back yet. And you can just wipe the final weakened patron in the base, in the pit, and win. Now, this is like, it actually gives the losing team the chance to defend the initial wave, which is usually like, if everyone's back, unless you're getting truly stomped, you can still probably defend. And so that's good. I like that. It basically means you can't snowball off of one wipe. Usually, you would need to do more than one wipe, which is, I like that. Power up, the bridge power-ups now have a heavy melee claim, so you can't just run over them, which makes sense, and now they scale based on the time at which you get them, which makes even more sense. Because everything in the game scales, basically, right? Soul scale, item scale, in the sense that you get better items, so it makes sense the power-up scales. And here's the rechange tweaks. Basically, like, I mean, I could read you each number here, but summary of this is it goes from weaker than it is now at the beginning to much stronger than it is now later on. Earn time to reveal increased. Fair enough. Initial earn bounty reduced. I guess that means it's just worth less. It's already kind of worth less right now with the way that I guess they're trying to reduce the souls there, but they're reducing souls here as well. So they're just trying to make it less crazy, because they're trying to balance the soul sharing rules with the other sources of souls, trying not to make things go too crazy, and they're also trying to make the games a bit longer, trying to find the right timing for it, which is, I think, fair. Okay, 2-day experiment for alternate earn mechanic, literally for 1 weekend. Earn pickup location is the same, but drop off location is now always top of mid temple. Just literally a temporary experiment, which they're trying to. I guess they're trying to experiment to see what it does to like average soul levels and stuff, I suppose. Neutral camps to be closer to Guardian. Yeah. This was a weird location. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, now you can actually get up there. It's more clear. Added a truck. Okay, we go parkour. We will watch the videos. Reading this one helped me. I'm a video watcher. Okay, I don't really understand, but you know, that's the kind of stuff you just play it and you realize it pretty much instantly. 20 seconds of video. Okay, so you go here, you go left, and then you can go straight. Okay, they finally connected these. I always find it so weird that this camp here kind of didn't connect to anything. It was just alone. Now it has a purpose. Yeah, fair enough. Now it's a direct line of sight, which is also maybe a bit problematic with, for like, I think is the urn here, the beneficial urn. I guess maybe not for now because they experiment. But anyway, what's down here? Teleporters are here now. That's kind of a crazy place. That's like right in the lane. It's in a safe place as well because it's behind the veil. So you don't know if someone's teleporting until you check. This could go crazy in like laning phase. You kill your laner. You have your zipline boost, but you teleport in, help the other lane, and the zipline boost back in without anyone knowing. That could be crazy. Okay, remove rope in here. Why? For what? How are you gonna get up there? I have questions. Okay. But this is the map changes. Map changes kind of not the biggest thing that affects gameplay in this game, apart from like camps and some pathways, but like, you know, you feel it better when you play it, is I think the clearest part. Okay. Anti-heal mechanics and relevant stuff. Okay. Like Abrams, basically all heal reduced, and Bebop all heal reduced. Basically all lifesteal has been reduced, is what I'm reading. Including item-based lifesteal and regen, is what it seems. They're trying to, which I think is probably fair, but I mean the lifesteal here is very minor, but the lifesteal here seems more significant. Some of these at least. This is pretty tiny. This is big. I like that. Monk Crow does need to like fuck off with this heal ability. It's just too much sometimes, as well as the reduced headshot like damage that he takes. It's just not worth it sometimes to live in this world. But anyway, weapon item changes. In general, what do I think about lifesteal? I think healing changes shouldn't be. I think we should have there's like a good balance to be struck, and I think less is better right now. I like shields because shields is kind of like stacking up a new engagement, but also being like tanky and resistant to damage as well as lifesteal is kind of nice. But yeah, I think in conclusion, I like this nerfing healing reduction, but also nerfing all sources of healing. Essentially, just means it's not going to have that much impact. But I am worried that Decay doesn't become like the anti-heal killer that it was, which I think maybe it's a bit too much, 70%, but we'll see. It is a cheap item, so I think that's fair. More rapid runs buff, as long as it doesn't upgrade to anything, I think people will still not really buy it. Monster rounds nerf, people will still buy it, obviously. Berserker buff, it's got a niche, but I think it's kind of a very specific niche. Soul Shredder nerf, but I think it's got a new item, right? Yeah, new item, yeah. Headhunter nerf, Heroic Aura buff on cooldown. Alchemical Fire now lingers for a second. It's annoying, but I think it's probably good. Makes sense. It's kind of in line with the other fires, like Infernus, right? Hunter's Aura slight nerf, but an NBD, in my opinion. Glass Cannon now requires slowing bullets and grants a slot passive. This may rework my entire build again. My Bebop build is like up, down, left, right, man. It's like absolutely delusion. Maybe I should, instead of getting Glass Cannon, just get crippling headshot first instead. I might try that so that we melt quicker. Well, let's see. Spell Slinger headshots requires Soul Shredder and this is basically headshots. It's a weapon item that buffs your spirit power when you get headshots. AKA this looks great as a late game talent item among other spirit based heroes. Okay, melee lifesteal buff, didn't really need it. I'm gonna level with you. Reactive barrier, bullet shield nerf. Maybe a little. Reactive barrier is probably a little on the board still, considering how much it gives you. But it's also, since it's only situational and not always active, it's kind of, you know, you don't feel it until you need it, which is a psychological nerf. But anyway, return fire requires extra regen. I think that's kind of sick. It gives extra regen a pathway, and now I'm actually gonna consider building things with extra regen. The way the extra health also has a pathway, I think this just makes a lot of sense because it's a fun. Actives are always fun. Not talking about meta wise, it's just fun. I would like to see it. Also, metal skin nerf makes you slower, so return fire could be up. Could be up. Debuff removal buff, which is good. Healbane buff. Healing no longer has ability range. You never should have had it. Let's be honest. The vampire no longer has sprint and now gets ability range back. Still don't think it needs it. I'm gonna level with you, but sure. Wall jump count increased. This is just gonna make the most annoying players more annoying, but like wall jumps are a very minor mechanic. You don't see it often, except when you're desperate. And of course, in high level, you might see it more for like a specific niche, but it's like, you know, the stamina is obviously way more important. So it doesn't really change how you buy it. More nerfs to rescue beam. Obviously, since it provides a singular purpose, it's still gonna keep going. Full speed reduces pretty big, but I mean, the Kelvins and the Dynamos will still be buying it. So NBD, in my opinion. Phantom Strike, this item needs to be deleted. It's just so annoying. But I recognize that it provides useful utility for some items, let's be honest. So that's fine. Spirit items, max, you get sprint at max stacks. That's kind of busted. But it takes you a while to get there, doesn't it? So maybe. Infuser buff, 5 seconds. It's not bad. I guess it is an early item, so this is actually a bigger deal than you'd expect. I still think it's a bit long, but it is a huge buff, so maybe there's a balance to be struck there. I might consider adding this to some early builds. Maybe a talent build, maybe. But it's hard to justify it. The decay changes, they buff the damage again since the healing reduction is nerfed. They keep reducing Weather Whip's cooldown and no one's buying it because it's like a weird niche item. That bullet resist reduced, but you're buying a 1250 spirit item instead of benefiting something else. Feels odd. Silence Glyph is now aim based instead of tracking, but it has a reduced cooldown. So you need to hit it. It doesn't really change much for Bebop since you're hooking and then silence glyphing, but I don't know. It could be a good buy, especially I think this would be a pretty big buff in high level dobbies because you're gonna hit it when you're better, right? Obviously. So 24-second like 3k item to silence. Early game could be a big counter item, big counter buy item. I like that. Okay, I think this is enough. Plus 20 spirit power, ethereal shift. That's kind of cracked. Ethereal shift on talent continues to be relevant, I think so. Keep an eye on that. Mystic Slow, slight buff. Torment Pulse, melee resistance. I mean, they're just adding melee resistance to a bunch of random items, it feels like, but okay. New tier 3 spirit item. The buffs your melee damage. It's Spirit Strike upgrade. Steals Spirit Resist and Spirit Power. And different heroes is better. It stacks it, which is nice. But this is going to make Abrams, I think, a little bit miserable. Let's be level. And it is a tier 3. Kinetic dash upgrade. After successful dash jump, next ability is better. Range duration, I'm trying to think here. It doesn't benefit the heroes I play, but it does benefit a lot of heroes. This could be a crazy paradox item. But it does take up a slot of spirit. Let's see, but I think it could be a crazy paradox item, Loki. Divinus Kevlar no longer grants lifesteal. They're trying to cut down on it, makes sense. Echo Shard, slight buff, but it's very minor. Mystic River buff, but that's not a bad buff. They keep increasing refreshes cooldown. It's not about the cooldown. It's about, you know, if you use it to win a whole team fight, it could last 10 minutes. You only need it once, you know? Okay. Siphon Life scales with Spirit Power range as well, but it's very minor. Base regen increased a little bit. Bebop Exploding Uppercut tier 2 bonus now applies to melee damage too. Oh, Bebop melee build? Hook can now be cancelled by allies with exit key. Thank you, so that we don't accidentally... I no longer need to be blamed for accidentally hooking a teammate. They just need to mash spacebar, which is kind of worse, but you know, I need to tell them that that's how it works now. Okay. Huge quantum entanglement changes. Seems to be a bunch of buffs. I mean, it is an under upgraded item, so I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I don't know if it needed a buff, but I think they're trying to allow for alternative ways of playing Dynamo that aren't just, you know, support out. Maybe some more mobility, some more gun, maybe. I like that. Bullet damage increased and health growth per boot increased. Talent does die immediately upon any issues, which is a shame. So this is good. A bunch of buffs. It now tethers targets. Which is the same as the... Is it the same as how Vindictus thing works? If so, I mean, there doesn't seem to apply... Okay, the slow is a bit longer. But it's lesser. But it's probably still enough to hit your arrow, so I think this is overall a buff. But I'm probably still not going to be worth upgrading over everything else. Maybe a worth upgrading instead of your 2. But definitely your 1 and your 4 take precedence, right? So I think that's fair. Okay. Now this, I remember seeing this because my Haze and my team talked about it. Okay. Items that doesn't break invisibility when you use them during your invis ult, not ult, ability. Okay. And they reworked it instead of bullet life steal to... You need to buy charges still. So on tier 3, you gain the ability to use like rapid recharge to multicast smoke bomb and be like invis repeatedly. I don't know. I think it's... To be fair, the invis part about Haze is like not that big of a deal. Like you can easily tell where Haze is, and like, you know, it's only really when you're not locked in and paying attention that Haze catches you off guard with the invis. So I think that's probably it makes it more like in character perhaps, but yeah. Okay, Haze's bullet dance is now spirit instead of bullet damage, and I mean this is just, you just imbue this thing and it goes crazy, which is what I saw. So I think they may need to put this back. But I recognize that they want to make sure that Haze builds aren't just gun only, which is fair, because I think there's no reason to have a spirit build on Haze. But now there is. So... Interesting. Haze sucks competitively, but is probably a noob stomper because the ult kills without counters, right? So... I don't need to change that though. Yeah. Ultimate level up decay time. So it takes less time to reduce. So it's a buff, which is terrible. This should not be the case. The DOT is already so annoying. I don't think they should be buffing it, but that's an annoyingness perspective. Okay. You can now amplify speed of ult. It's shorter and the cooldown's a bit longer. and the bullet. Damage base increased but growth reduced, so it's better at the start, but you can't go full gun build later maybe. Let's see. Things now smash through Kelvin's ice path. Thank you, perhaps, I would say. Self-damage, spirit scaling reduced. Gash is kind of strong right now. I don't know if that's necessary. Let's level with you. How much do we have left? Not that much left. Okay. What else do we got? The health not always fuck, I think. Many turrets not take it, but that's why they wouldn't die. So turrets have a limit how much damage they can take per second, so they can live at most 3 seconds. So you can't insta burst them down. So they can at least buy you 3 seconds of time, but they won't kill you if someone else kills you. If you're super fed, they will not be super powered, which I think is fair. They're basically maybe a little bit more pestering and annoying, but less like actually a threat, because you can take them down consistently instead of like when you're behind, they're just like an insane nuisance. So I think this is more consistent, but McGinnis is just built to be annoying by the entire kit, so it's hard to actually like balance an annoying character, but you know. I'm surprised not more nerfs on Mirage. Well, this is actually a buff, but actually it's not a buff, it's a rework of cooldown timing. You can cast it on top up portraits. Seems good to me. But I think they should nerf Mirage a bit more. But I don't know. I think they should make them each bullet maybe a bit more damage, but reduce each, like how quickly you can shoot. Maybe. Headshot resistance now only applies to big hit. Thank God. Burrow can now go under a spectral wall. Fine. Combo now pulls attack close to you over time. It's like already neck and neck. I don't see why that's necessary. Health gain increased, also unnecessary, but it was already basically in 0, so it's kind of fine. Sandblast duration reduced and slow reduced. Thank you for nerfing the most pathetic way of disarming. Early game disarm should not be a thing. Because at the very beginning, later in the game, it's okay. You're used to silences, stuns, knockdowns. At the beginning of the game, 3 seconds of just like, oh, I can't shoot now, but I don't have abilities yet, so I'm just gonna stay here, be behind a wall for 3 seconds for what? You know, for what? I don't like it. But anyway, I just think it's uninteractive. It should be changed. Okay. Basically nothing for Paradox. I saw this. 7 Stormcloud now lets you bounce up and down a bit. So you actually need to track a little bit of aiming. Expand time reduced, so it hits people faster when they're a bit further away. We chill out a bunch of shiv changes. You can now catch souls with your knives. Probably unnecessary, but maybe good for people who are actually aiming on instinct. Cast range increased for the ult a bit. They put it down and it was a little bit too small, so I think that's fair. It's still pretty close range. Okay. Base damage increased, but tier 2 reduced. Threshold increased. So that's a buff to the base. So basically what I'm reading here is base shiv is a bit stronger, but it's not as much of a mid-game threat, which is probably a good thing. Shiv late-game boss, I mean, it's not as much of a problem now. It used to be a problem, so maybe Shiv just seems like hard to balance. Like every patch is like Shiv's either god or is like, you know, doesn't get as much done, but fair enough. Okay. Crow Familiar changed to post-cast time. Irrelevant, I would say. No more anti-heal, but now it's minus 4% resistance. That seems better for Vindicta, to be honest. Because you're going to be using your targets to shooting anyway. Second, radius increase sucks enemies towards the center and limits movement. Okay. Well, then what's the point of the overall radius? I guess it's where that thing can become active. I guess that's fair, because when you use it originally, before this update, as soon as you threw it, you would just be stuck where you were, you wouldn't be moved. So maybe this is a bit more like you feel like you're doing something, but you still have a lot of freedom of movement, and it's not that much of a time of being stunned still. But okay, never mind, they added 0.575 seconds. Minus 40% fire rate. 2 seconds of shooting at half speed. They should just remove this modification, man. Because, I don't know. It just, on Kelvin's beam, it was unfun, and this is not going to be fun. Damage, like, fire rate reduction just kills some heroes in ways that doesn't seem fair. But maybe that's just me being biased. Okay. They put the damage buff back to 50, but reduced the bonus damage a bit, which is fair. 25% was too low, because they're pretty much gonna die anyway. You can now parry Viscus's Puddle Punch, but it only just blocks it for the parrying player. That's chill, but I think you should be careful when you're adding, what do you call it? Parries to non-melee. Because I think it's a slippery slope, and then everything that like vaguely punches starts to be parryable, and then you're kind of mixing and matching elements of gameplay, right? Because when you're teaching a player, this is like game dev stuff, and the Valve devs know this. I'm just kind of talking from my limited experience, right? You want the user education of the player to be clear. You want it to be sensible and like straightforward, right? Parry is for melee is for parry. La-di-da-di-da, you understand. When there's other stuff that can be parried, you start kind of wondering, and then the user has to start like thinking of edge cases. It's like I before E except after C, except that's not true always. There's a few other words where it doesn't work. It becomes like a, you start edge cases, and suddenly your parry is no longer a parry. It's like a parry for melee and like 5 other abilities, and then maybe some other stuff. So I think they should not do that. Even though it's a punch, I just don't think it makes sense. They should put it back. Just from a game design perspective, I think it doesn't make sense. Okay. Fire rate, spirit scaling reduced. It was crazy. Alchemical Flask now respects line of sight, so you can't do it someone behind a wall. Cooldown, literally a 2-second cooldown increase. What the fuck is that gonna do? But then again, that's the Ice Frog philosophy, I guess. Percentages. Resistance to channel increased, as if we needed that. I don't think it was necessary. Put it back, I think. Spirit scaling moved to tier 3 on full auto. Seems fair. Telekinesis now causes oscillation. I think they're just trying to make it like so that you need to think a little bit when you're stunning someone in place. Or being stunned in place by your own ability. Your mana doesn't heal with Shadow Transformation. That's big. That means you can't use it to save yourself. You use it offensively only. Or at least proactively on defense. Which I think makes it... But it heals you on hero kill. Okay, so you can't use it on low health, but on mid health, when you're close to a kill, you should use it so that you can snowball from there. I still think it's gonna be good, for sure. But they're clearly making this to be like a raid boss ult, which I think is cool. Overall, biggest changes. Haze ult we're gonna keep an eye out on Haze ult. Most of these are sort of, I would say, not a major change. The new items are cool, very much so. I think in terms of the new items, this one may see some play. It is a spirit item that builds off of a weapon item, so it may be difficult to consider it. I think this one maybe not so much. Spirit Snatch, and on every melee build, you're gonna build this, and I think it makes sense to do so. I'm thinking of building a melee Bebop now. Low key. I think it'd be cool. So, return 5 requiring extra regen, it's I think a buff to both items. As weird as that sounds, because it means you're gonna buy return 5 more often, more easily. Not easily, but like, you know, it makes sense to buy it. It doesn't waste slots because you're gonna buy extra regen. I like the vision is all I'm trying to say. So glass cannon, I think this is honestly a nerf to glass cannon because slowing bullets is kind of a mid item in my opinion. I used it on my build for a little while. I don't think it actually does that much, but I don't know. I think this kind of just makes glass cannon more expensive, and I don't think it's worth it. In my opinion. Silencer rework. I didn't even read these ones. Hold on. I'm cooking. This is a great item for sure. 3k item for like. This is basically a baby version of crippling, of spiritual overflow, which is nice. Silencer now passively builds up on enemies, silencing for 2 seconds and reducing spirit damage output by 40%. A bit slower than toxic bullets. Enemies affected can't be affected again for 12 seconds. Okay. A build-up silence is kind of worse because it means you can't like use it responsively. It would just proc as you're fighting. So it's worse in that sense, but you're gonna be silencing more often, just not when you specifically want to. Which I think is still enough overall, because you want to be able to press the button and then silence upon, you know, seeing or impending fights. But now you just got to keep up with silence, which I think is worse. I think that's worse. Yeah. But overall, I mean, a nice set of changes. I'm a fan of the matchmaking changes. I think solo queue only matchmaking is a cool idea, but it also kills the social aspect of the game because people just want to queue comp and queue in stacks. And I think like for the weeks or the couple of weeks where solo queue only was the ranking, like the people just didn't play together because everyone wants to play the rank game because they want to see the rank, right? They want to see themselves actually improve and get worse and better. But they don't want to. That's a consequence of not being able to play with your friends. So I think people complained about that, and I think it's the rightful change. And I think the lane changes for like requesting and stuff is also very cool. So yeah, good change. We'll see you in the cursed apple, my good friends, in like 2 weeks probably. Also every day, but in 2 weeks with the new changes. See ya.